BBC Radio Berkshire's news from elsewhere.
Oh yes, it's BBC News from elsewhere. This is where we catch up with BBC Monitoring and see what they've been doing with the world. In charge of the world this week, Kerry Allen. Hello Kerry, how are you?
Hello, very well, thank you.
It's our first time together, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yes, okay. Now, you actually are in charge. You do the stories. So there's me thinking it was Judy or Alistair, but actually they all look up to you. Is that right?
Oh, I don't know about that.
All right, well, I'm going to go with that one. It's up to them to fight it out with you. Now, let's see what we've got. We're going to be heading to Denmark for some wolves. Also, we've got a story of a taxi driver in South Korea, and we've got some pigs in Spain. So where should we start? I tell you what, we'll go with the wolves in Denmark first, if that's okay with you.
Yes, this is... who doesn't love a wolf story? Denmark's going to tag its first wild wolf pack in 200 years with GPS trackers. Now, actually, for a long time in Denmark, there weren't wolves until only about 6 years ago when they were sighted. Wolves hadn't been seen in Denmark since the early 19th century, and they've started breeding, and the government's now decided that it's going to start GPS tracking them for safety, but also environmental reasons, so that they can see why wolves have started breeding again in Denmark and track this.
That's incredible, isn't it? Really, I suppose a lot of people thought the wolves were gone, but they're certainly suddenly making their own mark again. But yes, if you want to have a look at the stories online, where can we go? Because there's a cute picture of obviously some wolf cubs there.
Yeah, it's bbc.co.uk/news from elsewhere.
Lovely. Hashtag news from elsewhere as well, isn't there?
Yes, there is hashtag news from elsewhere on Twitter.
And you can find it with the news app, which is just apparently on my phone. So it's just there. Here we are. I think there's other phones that can get it as well, but, I'd like to think it's just mine. Now, that's the wolves. A cute picture and a very nice picture of the cubs indeed. We've got some pigs on the way, but first, what's this about the first deaf taxi drivers in South Korea?
Yeah, this is a lovely story. So in Seoul, the capital city, there's taxi drivers who are deaf have been taken to the road for the first time because of this local company called Coctus, which is run by former university students, and they've launched a kind of it's like a dual tablet. That's set up with software, so you can have one tablet in the front for the taxi driver and one in the back, and the one in the back, people can use it. They can speak into it and say where they want to go, and this translates from voice into text for the taxi driver, and he can communicate that way. So there's this hope that this company can encourage more people who are deaf not to feel stigmatized, and they can become taxi drivers in the city.
What a good idea! And you can actually see the tablets involved, can't you, as well, with the story?
You can, yes. This story, there's been a lot of reaction to this one online. It seems to have been one of our best ones this last week. So yeah, people are really buying into this and saying, oh, maybe this could be used in other parts of the world.
It's amazing, actually. One of the things I always forget to ask Judy is the fact the reaction from the world, because you're talking about the world, and perhaps even people in South Korea who didn't know about this story, yet somehow they're finding out via you and BBC Monitoring.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's always exciting to see when stories like that happen, that people do see the effect on this and they think, oh, this is something that could be used elsewhere in the world, or they feel inspired and think, it's great that this country is doing this, and it really opens the debate.
Yeah, and by the way, have a look at some of the other stories if you've missed out, not been listening at about 10 to 6 here on BBC Radio Berkshire. There's one story which I'm sure sort of caused a bit of a stir around the world, was the cows allowed to visit Swedish nudie species during the heatwave.
That was one of mine.
It's amazing what you do for a living, Kerry. It really is. Now, let's have a look at this story from Spain about pigs.
Yes, this is another fascinating story. So there was this is one that actually it got a lot of attention both in the UK media and also in the Spanish media early in the week. There was this rumour that that Spain had suddenly its pig population had overtaken its human population. This is because the Ministry of Environment had released some figures saying that last year 50 million pigs were slaughtered, and this is 3.5 million more than the country's 46.5 million population. So people were saying, oh my gosh, are there more pigs than than people now in Spain. But actually, this is a little bit of fake news. It's there's actually about 30 million, and most of these pigs that are slaughtered, they're normally slaughtered at birth. But it has opened up a bit of a debate in the wider European Union because, Denmark actually does have, this is one country that does have more pigs than humans. And this is happening in other regions like Belgium and the Netherlands that pig populations are growing because there's a wider demand in countries like China or Southeast Asia for meat, and so they're doing mass export because of their economy. They're thinking, this is a great opportunity to make a lot of money. But at the same time, these countries have been, like everywhere this summer, they've been hit by the heat wave, and they've been worried that that actually the pigs will be putting a big strain on the resources.
My goodness, what a fascinating story. And actually, another Denmark link, isn't there, with the pigs? It's the European country with more pigs than people is Denmark.
Yes. Put quiz question.
Wow. Yeah, I suppose so. What do you think about the old bacon? But in the meantime, do you know, Carrie, it's been lovely. We'll have to do this again, but don't say it too loudly in case Judy's listening. Is that okay? She'll have to go on holiday again. Have a great one, Kerry. If people want to have a look at these stories again and also keep in touch with you, how do they do it again?
Yes, they can go to the app. They can look for News from Elsewhere. They can go to our website, look at bbc.co.uk/news from elsewhere, or just use the hashtag on Twitter, News from Elsewhere.
Kerry, you're a star. Thank you very much indeed.
BBC Radio Berkshire's news from elsewhere.